The peoples of West Papua and Torres Straits are also our Melanesian brothers and sisters.
Penasihat Hukum Melanesian Spearhead Group menyatakan bahwa perubahan iklim mengancam kelangsungan hidup Melanesia, mengurai hubungan mendalam antara masyarakatnya dan tanah mereka, dan merusak hak mereka yang telah diperjuangkan dengan susah payah untuk menentukan nasib sendiri. Penasihat Hukum Melanesian Spearhead Group, Ilan Kiloe, menyampaikan pernyataan lisan pembukaan di hadapan Mahkamah Internasional dalam proses penasehat tentang kewajiban negara sehubungan dengan perubahan iklim pada tanggal 2 Desember 2024. Pada tanggal 29 Maret 2023, Majelis Umum Perserikatan Bangsa-Bangsa mengadopsi sebuah resolusi yang meminta Mahkamah Internasional (ICJ) untuk mengeluarkan opini penasihat tentang kewajiban negara-negara terkait perubahan iklim. Resolusi tersebut merupakan hasil dari kepemimpinan Vanuatu dan 14 negara lainnya. Resolusi tersebut meminta Mahkamah Internasional untuk mengklarifikasi kewajiban negara-negara terkait perubahan iklim dengan perhatian khusus kepada negara-negara yang rentan dan masyarakat serta individu yang terkena dampak, termasuk generasi mendatang. Dari tanggal 2 hingga 11 Desember, Mahkamah akan mengadakan sidang terbuka. 98 negara dan 12 organisasi internasional akan berpartisipasi dalam proses lisan di hadapan Mahkamah. Sidang ini merupakan titik balik yang menyiapkan panggung untuk opini penasihat Mahkamah pada tahun 2025. Berikut pidato penasihat hukum Melanesian Spearhead Group, Ilan Kiloe.
Thank you, Thomas.
I thank Mr. Lugman. I now give the floor to Mr. Ilan Kiloe. You have the floor, sir.
Mr. President, Madam Vice President, members of the court, I have the honor to address you this morning on behalf of the Melanesian Spearhead Group, MSG, which brings together the Republic of Fiji, the independent state of Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and the Kanak Socialist Liberation Movement of New Caledonia, FLNKS. New Caledonia is a non-self-governing territory, and the FLNKS represents the indigenous Melanesian Kanak people. The peoples of West Papua and Torres Straits are also our Melanesian brothers and sisters. Melanesia is a tapestry of diverse people, each with their own rich cultures, languages, and traditions. But we also share, in the words of Melanesian philosopher Bernard Narakobi, a common cultural and spiritual unity, stemming from our interconnectedness with our environment. We are blessed persons, which means we are the places. We are the landscapes, we are the waters, and we are the soils, the stones, and we are the flora and the fauna. We are the weather, the seasons, and the spirits of our ancestral territories. Yet now, across our sea of islands, anthropogenic climate change has imperiled our people's physical survival and ripped apart the integral relationships between people and place that grounds our very existence. Simply put, climate change has unraveled the fabric of our very lives. As the court knows, we have submitted 35 testimonies from across communities in Melanesia. These testimonies contains the stories and the realities of our fathers, our mothers, and our children. Through these testimonies, our people share the sacred knowledge, their sacrifice, and their sufferings, and their grief. In return, they ask only that we bring their voices here to this great hall of justice, so that the court can understand what they are going through and how much they have lost. We respectfully ask the court to read the testimonies of our people with great care to better understand what climate change means for them, including the concrete impacts on their right to self-determination. Self-determination is at the heart of MSG mission. Each of MSG states emerged from colonial rule less than 50 years ago. Yet, climate change is now robbing our peoples from the hard-won self-determination. Melanesian peoples have been deprived of their means of subsistence, lost their territories, and suffered the collapse of their self-determined governance systems, economies, and cultures. These losses represents severe violation of their right to self-determination. Such violation is especially devastating for Kanak people and for other Melanesian peoples who are still colonized, as they compound the ongoing violations they are already enduring due to their independent political status. Non-self-governing peoples lack the ability to control their responses to climate change, or indeed even to appear before this honorable court. MSG is proud to count FLNKS amongst its membership and to bring the otherwise unheard voices of the colonized people to these important proceedings. More generally, the injustice of the climate crisis is inseparable from our shared colonial histories. The majority of the anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions can be attributed to the conduct of a few readily identifiable states, some of which colonized and exploited the land, the resources, and the peoples of Melanesia. We have not yet recovered from the enduring violence and colonization has inflicted on us as we struggle to rebuild and assert ourselves within a system we do not create. Climate change is now depriving our peoples again of our ability to enjoy our right to self-determination in our land. Mr. President, Madam Vice President, and members of the court, the harsh reality is that many of our peoples will not survive. The conduct responsible for this existential harm cannot, and I repeat, cannot be lawful under international law. In closing, MSG joins Vanuatu in asking the court to affirm that this conduct is unlawful, with ensuing legal consequences. I thank you for your courtesy and attention. Mr. President, I respectfully request that you now call Mr. Julian Angon to the podium. I thank you. Fiji, the independent state of Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, and the Kanak Socialist Liberation Movement of New Caledonia, FLNKS. New Caledonia is a non-self-governing territory, and the FLNKS represents the indigenous Melanesian Kanak people. The peoples of West Papua and Torres Straits are also our Melanesian brothers and sisters. Melanesia is a tapestry of diverse people, each with their own rich cultures, languages, and traditions. We also share, in the words of Melanesian philosopher Bernard Narakobi, a common cultural and spiritual unity, stemming from our interconnectedness with our environment. We are the places, we are the landscapes, we are the waters, and we are the soils, the stones, and we are the flora and the fauna. We are the weather, the seasons, and the spirits of our ancestral territories. Yet, across our sea of islands, anthropogenic climate change has impeded our people's physical survival and ripped apart the integral relationships between people and place. Self-determination is at the heart of MSG mission. Each of MSG states emerged from colonial rule less than 50 years ago. Yet, climate change is now robbing our peoples from the hard-won self-determination. Melanesian peoples have been deprived of their means of subsistence, lost their territories, and suffered the collapse of their self-determined governance systems, economies, and cultures. These losses represent severe violation of the right to self-determination. Such violation especially devastating for Kanak people and for other Melanesian peoples who are still colonized, as they compound the ongoing violations they are already enduring due to their dependent political status. The injustice of the climate crisis is inseparable from our shared colonial histories. The majority of the anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions can be attributed to the conduct of a few readily identifiable states, some of which colonized and exploited the land, the resources, and the peoples of Melanesia. We have not yet recovered from the enduring violence and colonization has inflicted on us as we struggle to rebuild and accept ourselves within a system we do not create. Climate change is now depriving our peoples again of our ability to enjoy our right to self-determination in our land. The harsh reality is that many of our peoples will not survive. The conduct responsible for this existential harm cannot, I repeat, cannot be lawful under international law. In closing, MSG joins Vanuatu in asking the court to affirm that this conduct is unlawful, with ensuing legal consequences.